Good day to you, O noble subjects of the domain. It has been a while since we last talked about the scabbards, and if you recall the video I've made on the subject, I did mention that we would check the last scabbard in a separate video with more details. Well, there it is. I am Sire Vince, your host, and today we will talk about the quick release scabbard from Les Artisans d'Azur. So what is it that makes this scabbard so special? First and foremost, the quick release scabbard is a model that is designed in a way that allows you to carry your weapons in your back. As you can see here, I've firmly tied it on an X-shaped harness, also made by Les Artisans d'Azur. Let's take a closer look. The quick release scabbard is part of the basic scabbard collection. This is a simple, patternless brown leather with brass rivets, but what is it that makes it stand out from the rest of the scabbards, or at the very least make it stand out from the rest of the collection, is that there is also this wooden pin tied to a lace that goes through 3 leather loops. But why is that? Well, it is explained by the way we unsheath our weapon, and for this, I will grab the weapon that I bought this specific scabbard for. So this is the Highlander 3 Greatsword by Kelly, a Scottish claymore of impressive size, as you can see here. And this scabbard has been made for any weapon deemed, oversized. And you will soon see how this scabbard is so special. So how do we unsheath it? And it's the main reason why we call it quick release scabbard. As simple as this. As we start pulling the sword out of the scabbard, it pulls on the string, and with the pin slipping out of the loops, it opens just like a blooming flower, which allows me to unsheath oversized weapons such as the Highlander 3 with incredible ease. But can we do it as quickly as the name pretends? And so I put this to the test, and let me tell you, I was not disappointed. In spite of my limited area of movement, it only took 0.8 seconds to unsheath it. Not bad at all. And to close the scabbard, all we have to do is put the weapon back in like this, realign the leather loops, and put the wooden pin right back in like this, with the lace on top of the guard. As simple as this. But is it that simple, really? Because I did find out that there is a little problem. But in order for me to show you what I mean, allow me to demonstrate. For this first test, I will be wearing the X-shaped harness, along with the quick release scabbard and the Highlander 3 in my back, all while wearing modern clothes. First, I test if the weapon has the tendency to slip out during movements. I found a first positive point in the stability of the scabbard. It's quite remarkable. The Highlander 3 firmly stays in and doesn't wobble around too much. We know how to unsheath the weapon. Let's find out if we can put it back in nearly as efficiently. And as soon as I begin, you can see the little problem that I've mentioned a moment before. Granted, the design of the scabbard is quite ingenious. Unfortunately, when comes the time to close the scabbard from behind, with LARP gear on, no less, it requires a lot of dexterity and flexibility to achieve it. And as you can see, I am not wearing any LARP garment at all. So, we have 2 possibilities. Either it is a design flaw on the craftsman's part, or it is, as the younglings say today, skill issues on my end. I'm tempted to say a bit of both. In the end, it took me a solid 1 minute and 6 seconds to successfully close the scabbard, and even then I had to double check to make sure I did it right. Luckily I did, but the tests are not quite over yet. I run that test again, this time while adorning a gambeson for extra difficulty. At the very least, with the gambeson on, the harness will not feel so loose and shift around like it did earlier. But will this really give me an advantage? It It was time to find out. I will be quite honest with you, my noble subjects. I did not expect me to be able to close it, let alone to close it even faster than I did without the gambeson. Yes, you heard me right. 40.6 seconds compared to the 1 minute and 6 seconds. But it's too early to celebrate. For yes, I am wearing the gambeson, but I am still relatively lightly dressed. Now, if I were wearing, say, Butch Gentleblade's full attire, it would be a different story. And there won't be a squire waiting around to help you. Even if the majority of the LARP players are nice and helpful, they have better things to do, like enjoying the game for themselves. So make sure to keep your LARP gear practical. Let's ask one of the house goblins what they have to say about this. Tell me, Skip, would you like to say a word to our subjects? I'll take that as a no. Now, what else can we say after running these tests? The Quick Release Scabbard takes its name from a fact. Not vanity, not pretension. It truly is a Quick Release Scabbard. That is its highlight. Its key weakness, however, is, naturally, to sheath it back in. It takes less than a second to unsheath a greatsword, but it takes at least between 40 to 60 seconds to sheath it back in, if it doesn't take longer. This is, at least in my opinion, its greatest flaw. So in the end, am I going to suggest to you to buy the Quick Release Scabbard? Of course I will. For even though there is a major weak point, it is still outnumbered by the Quick Release Scabbard's many strong suits. The drawing speed goes without mention. This scabbard is simple and economic, $40 without the taxes if I recall, and as a scabbard, it fulfills its purpose very well. I mean, the Highlander 3 is massive and heavy, and still, as long as it's in there, it will not budge. I'm starting to believe that the true problem doesn't come from the design, but the fact that I suck. In my defense, it just shows that I haven't LARPed in way too long, and I could really use some practice. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this small review of the Quick Release Scabbard from Les Artisans d'Azur. This was Sire Vince. Thank you for watching, and I am eager to see you again on the next broadcast.